What's good, y'all? Kyle Loftus here, and today we are doing a cinematography breakdown of my latest music video with OC Grimm entitled Golden Brown. Now, before we dive into it, let's check out the music video. Whoosha!
Golden brown, yeah, that's her complexion. That's her complexion. Nose rings, fat ass in them leggings. Got the hips of a goddess, I grab him like handlebars. She fuck with me cause she know I'ma be a star. She do perky, she do not do the boss. Pussy tighter than a lid on a jaw. Golden brown, yeah, that's her complexion. Nose rings, fat ass in them leggings. Got the hips of a goddess, I grab him like handlebars. She fuck with me cause she know I'ma be a star. She do perky, she do not do the boss. Pussy tighter than a lid on a jaw. Golden brown, yeah, that's her complexion. The sun hit her melanin, that she a wet. Everybody stop and look. When she get a steppin', she got sugar daddy, she said he a reverend. He give her the money off the plate, they get passed around for blessings. She sit on his lap for 60 seconds. $20 every second, that's $1,200. Now tell me who finessing. Golden brown on the beach, get your tone in. Pussy put me right to sleep, call it melatonin. She having a good time, getting her Jones in. She come, I come, keeping up with the Joneses. She suck me hard when it's soft. I'm raiding her tune, let her crawl. Hopeless romantic, have a date in the loft. Lick all around, so many lines getting crossed. Golden brown, yeah, that's her complexion. That's her complexion. Nose rings, fat ass in them leggings. Got the hips of a goddess, I grab him like handlebars. She fuck with me cause she know I'ma be a star. She do perky, she do not do the boss. Pussy tighter than a lid on a jaw. Golden brown, yeah, that's her complexion. Nose rings, fat ass in them leggings. Got the hips of a goddess, I grab him like handlebars. She fuck with me cause she know I'ma be a star. She do perky, she do not do the boss. Pussy tighter than a lid on a jaw. That's her complexion. That's her complexion. That's her complexion. That's her complexion. Golden brown. Golden brown. Golden brown.
All right, now that you guys have gotten a little bit of time to check out the video, hope you enjoyed it, hope you liked it. If you skipped it, damn, that kind of hurts. But anyways, nonetheless, let's dive into the details. So first and foremost, before we start covering scene to scene and breaking that down, what overall did we use to capture and bring this to life? Lighting wise and grip wise, we use C stands. That was the main form of grip gear we used. We had some light stands as well. Pretty much it there when it comes to grip. Lighting gear, we used the Godox TL60 tube lights. They're bicolor RGB and they can be controlled via remote control. Absolutely love these lights. I actually have a review video on my channel if you want to check that out as well. And on top of those, we also used the Pavo 6Cs by Nanelite. So I personally own 4 of those, so we brought those out and used those for the project as well. Then we used some Pixel LED tube lights. Excuse me, we used Pixel LED square lights. So these are just some LED panel boards. I have 2 of them. Bring out some really, really great rich color, and they come with 2 light stands. So we brought that out as well. And then we also used my Forza 200 by Nanelite and my Forza 60B by Nanelite. Those were the lights that we used to shoot and bring this video to life. All right, now moving on to camera and lenses. So camera wise, we only use one camera, Ursa Mini Pro G2, which I'm using to film this right here, right now. Lens wise, we used a Canon 100 macro, Canon 16-35, f2.8 I'm using right now to film this. Tamron 24-70. We had some other glass lying around, but that's the only glass that we ended up using for this project. A bit more on the stabilization side, we didn't do anything super crazy, but we did use the Steadicam for a couple shots predominantly to use for the intro shot. Had a slight little hiccup there. Nonetheless, anyways, I think you see a couple shots in there with the steady cam, kind of getting a little movement when we're inside the warehouse setting. But predominantly, the main and only form of stabilization we were really using was my Flowline Cin. It's essentially the same thing as an Easy Rig. The brand that I have is just Flowline. It's just way more cost effective, way cheaper, does the same exact job. Now, granted, the vibration control might not be nearly as good as an Easy Rig, sure, but Easy Rig's also, about 5 to 6 times the price. At the end of the day, it gets the job done. First and foremost, want to break down the warehouse scene. Now, I scrubbed and left it on the back there of the screen just so you can see as well, but of course, we're applying B-roll on top here, guys, so you're getting a much better look. One of the big things I always really try to focus on and implement into my scenes is backlight. It's one of my favorite ways to light characters, and if you've watched any of my past work, I do a lot of moody looks. I don't do a lot of high key lighting where you don't see any shadows, everything's super clean, visible, nice, sleek, beauty commercial line stuff. No, that's not me. I'm very much more of the rigid, gritty, intense thriller or sci-fi film kind of style when it comes to lighting and coloring, editing, etc. For this, I used the Pavo tubes. So I set those up in the back, set those to a nice orange light, and those are going to align in the back to one, help act as motivating light and be practical. So these seem like these realistic kind of edgy lighting systems in this top secret warehouse space, right? Again, it's also not only acting as that motivating light and practical light that says, okay, this makes sense. These are the lights that are lighting up our space in our room, because no other lights do we see in the space, right? So this is our motivating light, what's lighting the space, creating this world. Then additionally, we've got the 2 TL60 tube lights. We've got those on some C-stands, and those are just flagged up high and coming down at a 45-degree angle. These are what are actually our key lights. So these are lighting up O.C. Grimm as the artist, and me, myself, my cameo as the underground, under the table detective kind of guy, right? And so those are our key lights that are actually lighting us and making sure we can be seen in this space. Then those Pavos, again, are acting as backlight and to give more color and create more of the look we want for this actual room, right? Because these tube lights are just on a daylight bound, so not really giving us much of an edgy or thriller kind of look like we want. Now, it's also important to use complementary colors. I think that's another great way that you can add more depth, create more visually appealing and interesting scene and look. And so also keeping that in mind, thinking about thrillers and scary movies and action films, like what are the colors that they use? And one of the common things you'll see is a lot of thrillers and sci-fis, they use heavy on the greens and tinting that way. And I think you'll find green and orange a lot with thrillers and like scary pieces. Green automatically like instills that uneasiness, unsettledness, because the image already looks like just a little, what's going on here, right? Like it's not a calming color, that off-putted tinted green. What we did to create that was we used the pixel LED boards, and we just shined those up against the wall to create some bounce and create some green coming from the other side of the warehouse space. So this side we have green, this side we have orange, right? And then, so those are coming this way, and on the sides there we have the tube lights shining down and lighting us up. And really the great thing about this, guys, was we lit for the environment, we lit for the space. If you watch any of my other past videos, I talk about this a lot, is lighting the environment, lighting the scene first, and then start working down, right? So when you want to get those close-ups and maybe you want to change the lighting up a bit and make it more dramatic, more edgy, you can do that. But first, light for your scene, because otherwise, as you're changing from shot to shot, you're gonna have to adjust and move the lights every single time. And then it just becomes this painstaking process, right? So what we did is we lit for the scene first. We lit for the environment, the space in the room. What that means is that now that I have this lighting look that I like and I enjoy and it works for the space, I can capture everything I want with this. And then when I'm ready to finally move in for close-ups, I can do so. But this now allows me to move so much more faster and efficiently because I know I'm not changing my lights at all. Sure, I might move them ever so slightly, like a foot or 6 inches to the right or left, or bring them in a tiny bit. But that's predominantly it. They're pretty much staying put until I jump in for the close-ups and we do more stylized or dramatic lighting, right? And so that's gonna save me a ton of time on set. So everything we filmed in the warehouse space, we literally left the lights as is, exactly where they are. This shot, as you're seeing on the screen with the B-roll as well, the girls kind of doing our police lineup look here. This we actually moved the Forza 200 onto a C-stand. We weren't using it in that original warehouse scene, so remember that. We didn't have to adjust or move any of our lights. We just grabbed a C-stand, put on the Forza 200, and then we did a Fresnel mount on top of that, so we're getting this really nice hard light. Shine those right down at the girls to create this really cool like spotlight effect. Really kind of wanted it to have that film noir kind of spotlight look, like you're in a police lineup, you know, and it's like almost kind of like that spotlight you'd have them flagging on you, or a spotlight you'd see for like the bat signal or something like that, right? So that's what I wanted to create. So all we did was brought that light, flagged it up high, shined it on them at like a 45-degree angle, and it captured that content. And then from there, you know, we moved on and got the other scene looks that we needed at that warehouse space. But again, we didn't have to move or adjust these lights at all. And then I'll go ahead and pull up some close-ups so we can look at some of the close-ups, and I'll just talk a little bit about how we kind of maneuvered around for that. Towards the end of the film, this is a very specific stylized close-up. We knew we needed to get this reaction shot of him certifying, saying, yep, for the second time, not only did I pick her out through the window, but I'm picking her out here again. This is the girl, this is her. I'm stoked, we got her, right? You need that reaction shots to really sell that shock factor of, holy shit, wait, it's twins. It was never one girl, it was two. For this shot here in particular, again, we had to move and adjust lights. So what we did is we brought in some Pavo tubes closer so we could really kind of hint and showcase that orange light and that contrast with the green in the back. So again, we're utilizing complementary colors. Why are we doing this? One, well, it just freaking looks good. Why does it look good though? Because complementary colors, they're complementary. There's a balance, it's natural, it's pleasing to the eye. But on top of that, what are these complementary colors doing? Well, they're creating separation. By utilizing different colors, we're creating a separation in the image. So that creates more depth. It adds more interest. It makes the image more interesting and just overall dynamic to our eye. Talk about one more look really quick. Again, we used the Forza 200. We had OC hang out by the stairs and pretty much just worked the camera there to whipping over to this glass board that we had up, the glass board we had up for the interrogation scene, but we found out the reflection looked pretty cool. So we just did a playful kind of for the hell of it look where we whip panned constantly, you know, back and forth from on him to on the mirror, just to kind of create this, again, just a unique, different look in a way that, again, we can kind of keep the audience on their edge. Like, what is the actual, like, when is it actually on him? Was that on him or was that on him? You know, like when it's on the mirror or when it's on him, or which one actually is it, right? So again, just something to make more interesting. As you can see through the video though, I think we only used it 2 or 3 times. Very, very minor. Wasn't a big priority, a planned shot or anything like that. It was something we just discovered the day of. We had some extra time at the warehouse, so we shot it. The last thing we covered in the warehouse, again, was in the interrogation space, which I'll pull up something real quick. Again, we already lit up all the lighting for the entire space first. So we didn't change any of these, just shined up, literally bouncing off the wall, creating this really eerie, ominous green light all throughout that space there. And then we just brought in the TL60 tube lights and we just had someone Hollywood those real close so we could get some nice ambient light to kind of key us, because again, these are a bounce, it's just ambient light filling all the space, but there's no direct key on myself and OC Grimm. So had someone Hollyland a TL60 tube light by Godox, had that on a natural daylight balance, shine that as our key, just to kind of showcase and allow us to kind of be better seen by the camera. And that covers everything in the warehouse. Now moving on from there, we moved to our second location, which was the house. We shot everything else at this house. And so let's kind of break down the different looks. So our first look at the house is the Kingpin outside. Now, we didn't actually shoot this first, but I'm just showing it to you guys first. So this was actually the last thing we shot, just to clarify on the production schedule. We got the couple outside here. Now, how we lit this scene, so we used the LED panels. We have both of those inside the house, and those are on an orange hue setting. So as you can see, kind of helping create this very, very Blade Runner-esque look here, heavy on the orange tint. And then to match that orange tint on the outside, we used the Godox TL60 tube lights, creating some nice ambient light. And again, we had one close to them at a Rembrandt 45, so 45-degree angle, as well as 45-degree down, shining on them as their key. And then the reason why we chose all this orange is because the pool itself was green, and it just, you know, it was lit up with these really ugly tungsten lights, but the pool itself is kind of like blue. So together they blended into this really cool green hue, had a really, really nice complementary look with the orange we shined around. And again, translating back to the warehouse earlier, again, we're using that green and orange. Moving on from the outdoor scene, that was pretty much it. Short and sweet there. Let's talk about the priest, because the priest killing was pretty cool. Here, we didn't use any light at all, guys. We used natural light. What we did is we kind of slightly closed the shutters on that door panel there. So slightly closed them so there's just really, really small creases. And then we just blew a bunch of haze into the scene. And that created some really, really dynamic and cool light rays. There's no point in us putting some lights outside because none of the lights I own can compete with the best light source known to man, the sun. The sun is the greatest light source. I mean, I don't care how many sky panels you have, you're not gonna beat the sun. You're not. Technically, I guess kind of you could. It depends on the lighting setting you're doing and what angle and stuff like that. But nonetheless, so that was really it, guys. You know, we let the sun do its thing. Again, flung in some haze there. And then obviously to best bring that haze out, we wanna shoot towards the direction of the light. If I shot it from the sides, you wouldn't really notice the light rays. You would just kind of see this, well, puff of haze. It would just seem a bit like of a hazy or misty image. It wouldn't feel really sharp and crisp. By shooting towards the light, I'm able to achieve that look where we had the light rays. And that's pretty much it, guys. You know what I mean? Just, again, shot multiple different angles, used the Ursa Mini Pro G2. Not much else needs to be said there. Now let's go to our final scene, the bedroom. Finally wrapping up here, guys, talking about the bedroom. So to light this scene and environment, we use the LED panels, shine those up for a bounce, one on a blue, one on a purple hue. That kind of created our ambient look within the space. And again, to make this more cinematic, so what we did is we took 2 Pavo tube lights and we stuck one in each lamp and turned the lamp's lights off and took the actual light bulbs out. So we got rid of these nasty tungsten ugly lights that would have been on in the lamps and instead put in these tube lights. We have these really cool stylized and specifically lit orange hue that again is very complementary to the purple and the blue. Aside from that, we used a TL60 tube light. We had someone Hollywood that for the key for OC Grimm in this scene. So as you can see that nice orange light coming on his face, that is from the TL60 tube light. And we did that again to be a nice key and again to be complementary and contrast against the blue and the purple that we're seeing. Oh, and lastly, the Sin Bloom filters by Moment. Absolutely love these guys. You gotta check them out, gotta pick them up. Incredible. I use Black Pro Mist filters. I've always used those in the past on my cameras to help really create that cinematic look. If you don't know what Black Pro Mist filters are, they essentially help soften up the image, give a little bit of bloom to the highlights, and it's just gonna really help you get a little bit more of that film-esque look, a little less of that digital, crispy DSLR kind of look that kind of comes with cameras. And oftentimes, you know, if you're using SLR glass like I predominantly shoot with, unless the project has the budget for Cin glass, I'm shooting with, you know, SLR glass, and as a result, sometimes it can be a bit too tack sharp and it doesn't feel like a film, right? It feels a bit too digital and crisp. So Black Pro Mist filters help a lot with that. But nonetheless, Moment has their own kind. They call them Sin Bloom diffusion filters. Same exact concept and idea, just their own kind of branding and everything. But anyways, I absolutely love these guys. Don't hate me, Tiffin, but I've got a Tiffin Black Pro Mist and man, I can't say exactly what it is, but I just love the softness and the way that the light is taken in by your lens in your camera image from the Moment filter. I don't know what it is, but I love the images it provides. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. Lighting wise, gear wise, how we shot and brought this to life, the different scenes and looks we did. I think that about covers it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty hungry. Could use some food. All right, y'all, that's it for this week's episode. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please drop them below. I try and get back to each and every comment, even the rude ones. I'm gonna make a yo mama joke. So if you come at me, I'm gonna get you, bro. I'm gonna get you. Just know that.
You know what the difference between your mama and a washing machine is? When I dump a load in the machine doesn't follow me around for 3 weeks.
All right. For real, I need to eat. I love y'all. Peace. Ah.